There is a constant hum of announcements surrounding artificial intelligence updates, and for a small business owner, it often feels like noise. You see headlines about new models, new parameters, and new capabilities, but what actually matters is the bottom line. You are not looking for a list of technical features. You are looking for a return on investment. You need to know if the latest iteration of a system like GPT 5.5 actually changes how you operate, or if it is just another version of the same tool with a slightly different name. Here is the thing. The narrative around this specific iteration marks a strategic pivot. It is moving away from pure text generation toward an integrated ecosystem. Think of it as the difference between buying a powerful calculator and buying a financial planning firm. The new capabilities are not just about generating better text. They are about combining multimodal reasoning with native coding and agent capabilities. This means the software is not just talking to you, it is starting to do the work. Now consider the implications for your workflow. In the past, you might have had to copy data from one application, paste it into another, and then ask a chatbot to summarize it. That back and forth is where the inefficiency lives. With this new architecture, the tool itself becomes the environment. You are no longer switching between a word processor, a spreadsheet, and a code editor. You are operating within a single interface where the reasoning engine understands the context of your entire business. This is the shift from a tool to a platform. However, there is a specific technical detail that often gets overlooked in the marketing materials. The release of this model coincides with the discontinuation of the 1 million token context window. For those unfamiliar, a token is a unit of text that the model processes. You might think losing the ability to process such a massive amount of information at once is a step backward, but the reality is more nuanced. This suggests a shift in architecture toward higher density reasoning or retrieval-augmented generation rather than raw context expansion. Imagine you are a lawyer with a library of case law. Previously, you could load the entire library into your short-term memory to find a connection. Now, the system is designed to know exactly where to look for the information and how to synthesize it without needing to hold the whole library in its working memory at once. For a small business, this means the model becomes more efficient at handling complex, specialized tasks without getting bogged down by irrelevant data. It is less about memorizing everything and more about knowing how to find and connect the right pieces of information. This leads us to the most significant leap in capability, which is found in complex reasoning. Recent benchmarks indicate that the system significantly narrows the performance gap with human experts in complex multimodal medical reasoning tasks. While you may not be a hospital, this capability translates directly to business diagnostics. It is moving beyond simple fact retrieval to clinical synthesis. In a business context, this means the system can analyze a drop in sales, review customer feedback, check inventory logs, and cross-reference market trends to propose a strategy that feels like it was written by a senior consultant. This capability is particularly important because it handles ambiguity better than previous generations. It does not just tell you what the data says, it tells you what the data says. For a non-technical owner, this is the difference between having a spreadsheet that requires a data analyst to interpret and having a partner that suggests the next move. The accuracy improvements on these benchmarks are substantial, effectively surpassing pre-licensed human experts in controlled settings for certain types of reasoning tasks. But we must also talk about the cost and the ecosystem. The competitive landscape has intensified, with this iteration explicitly positioned as a direct countermeasure to recent updates from other major technology companies. This signals an escalation in an arms race between major artificial intelligence labs. While this drives innovation, it also means the ecosystem remains fragmented. There are multiple concurrent variants, such as GPT 5.2 and GPT 5.5, along with distinct prompting guides. This indicates a rapid, iterative development cycle rather than a single monolithic release. For a business, this can be challenging. It means you cannot set a workflow in stone and expect it to remain valid for years. You are entering a period of constant adaptation. You need to build flexibility into your operations. If you rely too heavily on specific features that might be deprecated in the next quarterly update, you risk your operational continuity. Furthermore, safety evaluations emphasize that even top-performing frontier models retain significant vulnerabilities under adversarial conditions. This means you cannot treat the system as infallible. It is a powerful assistant, but it still requires human oversight. The strategic pivot toward an integrated super app ecosystem means that the risks are also more centralized. If the system is compromised or hallucinates, it affects a wider range of your operations than a simple text generation error would. So, how do you approach this from a cost-benefit perspective? You need to map these specific new capabilities to tangible ROI. Do not upgrade simply because a new version exists. Ask yourself if the aging capabilities will replace a task that currently costs you money in labor hours. Ask yourself if the improved reasoning will reduce the time you spend on decision-making. The value is not in the model name. The value is in the workflow overhaul. If you are running a service-based business, the ability to synthesize complex information could allow you to take on more clients without hiring more staff. If you are in retail, the multimodal reasoning could help you predict inventory needs with higher accuracy. But you must be aware that the landscape is shifting. The discontinuation of the massive context window means you need to be more deliberate about how you structure your data inputs. Ultimately, this iteration represents a move toward a more autonomous operational environment. It is a strategic pivot from generating content to executing tasks. But with that power comes the responsibility to manage the ecosystem carefully. You need to understand that you are not just buying software. You are integrating a new layer of intelligence into your business logic. The return on investment will come from the efficiency gains in decision-making and execution, not from the novelty of the technology. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. I am a one-person team working hard to make each video better than the last. Subscribe if you found value. It is the best way to show support. Drop a comment with your biggest takeaway. See you in the next video.